All right, let's see. Hello, hello, hello. Let us see if this stream thing works. I am trying to see if we have a live stream going on. I believe we do. So welcome. For those of you who do tune into this, that's awesome. Thanks for doing it. And I am just going to give you a tour. We're testing out streaming, or I'm testing out streaming, and we're just going to give you a tour of the minigame world that we built in Xbox One. This is something that Reid and I have been working on for several years, and now with Bedrock and starting into PC and all that stuff, it just seems like we might be leaving some of this behind. I don't know. But we also had this idea, well, maybe we should rebuild some of these in Bedrock, maybe use some command blocks, maybe allow a bunch of people to play at once, and possibly port it into the marketplace. So want to get some feedback. If you think that this would be a good idea to port over to the Bedrock edition, let other people access it and play some of these games, let us know. All right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to just give a tour of our world and talk about the different games that we made. So let's see here. Here we go. All right. This first one actually wasn't intended to be a game on the outside. Though we've played a game on the outside several times. It's a pyramid, quite obviously. And I am in the Christmas texture pack. That's why you see all this fun gingerbread stuff and whatnot. But here's the idea. The idea on this one, this is called King of the Hill. You have knockback sticks with knockback 2 on them. And with the knockback sticks, you just try and stay on top of this pyramid as long as you possibly can, knocking everyone else off of it. And with the knockback 2 sticks, you can actually like smack people sometimes all the way into the water, which is pretty crazy. So we've done a lot of collaboration videos with people playing this game. Totally a lot of fun. A lot of mayhem and just craziness. So check those out for sure in our playlists for minigames. And I'm just going to dive in here and show you what's inside, because this was the first game, or the intended game. It wasn't the outside King of the Hill game that we had. This was just sort of inside a pyramid maze, with a whole bunch of different stairs, doors, buttons, pressure plates, etc. And of course now with these lights here, it's kind of fun with the vines growing everywhere. But this was a hide-and-seek tag arena. And you could, push the button and run into a space, whoops, or push the button and not run into a space, and hide until you think the guy is about to get you, and then you, sneak out the back door. Run around and then run up the stairs, or hide on the vines in the wall, and hopefully they don't see you. Right? So it is a lot of fun. We did tag. It's fun with 2 people, but it's super fun when you have like 3 or 4 people playing freeze tag. That's pretty cool. So this was one of our first games, I believe, and we have a lot of maybe 3-4 playthroughs of this in the minigame playlist. So check that out. We have a couple with other people as well. So did some collaborations on that game. And let's see, I think I'm gonna sneak out one of these doors. Oh, not that door. Yep, that door, and then sneak out another door. And you can hear the doors opening and closing, which kind of gives you an idea of where someone might be hiding. Then if you're up here, you can sometimes jump on in, pull the trapdoor before someone else gets you, and then sneak out. Kind of a fun place to hide in there. All right, so that is our hide-and-seek pyramid tag game. And we're going to go pop back out through the roof to the outside of King of the Hill. And over here is our chest with the knockback sticks. And let's see, what else should we go look at? We're going to go look at this over here. This is what we called our birthday party games house, or our birthday party house. And this, I believe, was made for Reid on one of his birthdays, where we put together a house that we would have a celebration in. There would be lots of cakes, and then we could go play games. the food in all the chests. We had this stacked up with villagers and other animals. And then, of course, you saw as we walk in, the pressure plate should be, though I think the guy is on it here, but it should trigger fireworks when you walk in, so it's a very exciting place to walk into. Alright, well, let's get out now. And there's just a quick little roller coaster around here, and the idea here was you ride around on the roller coaster. It hits these dispensers that are right below it, which then pops up with different types of cakes and candies and food as you go around the track. And I think one or two of them also have some fireworks that shoot off too, so it's kind of fun. And let's see, the villagers seem to have escaped and they're roaming around. And then we have lots of cakes outside, not sure why. But this one over here, this was kind of a fun party game where you get a bow and a bunch of arrows and you go and you shoot the button. You shoot the button. When you hit the button, it drops a candy apple or a fish or something out. And you can go pick that up and say, oh, check this out, I got some food. And whoever got the most for the certain number of arrows that you got to shoot would win the game. And the food would just, of course, float down on the water, and you collect it down at the bottom. Fun game, easy to make. This one is one that we never played and recorded. It's one that we've been working on for a while. Still working on it. It's a little bit chaotic with the colors in the Christmas texture pack. But here's the idea, is that the blue side and I guess the checkered blue side, they each have hoppers below the carpet. And so, if we go back underneath the game, the idea here was to throw, boy, those don't look like hoppers at all, do they, in the Christmas pack? But anyways, those are hoppers. And they all feed over to this chest underneath on both sides. So what you do is you start by opening your chest, taking diamonds, emeralds, and gold, 3 stacks, 1 of each. And you take them, you go into your side, you pop in, whoopsie, let's try and go in through a door, Dad. You can do it, I believe. All right, so you go in, and then the idea is you're kind of trying to throw like volleyball-ish, just trying to throw all of the diamonds, gold, and emerald over to the other side. And we keep going until both people are out of their diamonds, gold, and emerald. Now, sometimes you can catch the other person's throws, and so you can throw it back onto their side. And then at the end of the game, you go see how many things did actually get into the chest here. You're basically trying to defend your chest while you're trying to throw your stuff into the hoppers of the other person. And so whoever has the least amount of stuff in their chest, once both people are empty from their hands, that person is the winner. A couple challenges we still haven't fully solved is that it's actually not as easy as I thought to throw over this wall, because most things get blocked when you're throwing over a 1-block wall. So a couple details we still need to sort out on how to make that game work, but that was a pretty cool one, has potential. The idea from it was sort of a food fight where you were throwing stuff back and forth, but I think diamonds, gold, and emeralds was kind of a fun thing as well. So you might have noticed there's some craziness up in the sky. I may as well show that off. This was a long time ago. This was actually around kindergarten, I believe, when we were first learning about the planets, or Reid was first learning about the planets, and I think we used this a little bit with Rylan to just kind of get the idea of all the different planets and their sizes relative to each other. So this is actually somewhat to scale, where you can see just how big Jupiter and Saturn are compared to Earth and Mars. They're like massive. So the sun, of course, much bigger than everything, but this is all we did for the sun, just kind of a big lava drop and said, there's the sun. So Mercury's there, etc. All the planets down the line, except for Pluto, because, you know, is Pluto really a planet? Maybe. Maybe. Don't think we left Pluto in here, though. And we were going to do a parkour game along this, but then just never quite got to it. Parkour from planet to planet or on the backside of some of the larger planets. Alright, well, let's go straight down and we will see another game that we did, which you can go and check out in the minigame playlist. This is actually the finish line of the Great Race. We'll come back to that one. But over here, we also did something, I believe it was a pumpkin hunt for Halloween. And this area was where Reid was hiding pumpkins, and you had to find specifically the pumpkins, I believe, that were lit up. And of course couldn't fly, so it made it much more difficult. You had to sort of jump and parkour from one thing to another, and you had to find 5 lit up pumpkins. The jack-o'-lanterns, not just the pumpkin faces. And he hid his there, and I hid mine over here across this ice bridge over in this area of trees. And so this was kind of a tricky spot because it was easy to see some of them, but not quite so easy to get to some of them that were hiding up in the trees. So I had to figure out how do you parkour your way up, and is it actually a jack-o'-lantern or not. And yeah, so pumpkin hunt, easy enough. 2 quick games over there. Now let's talk about the Great Race, because that was a fun one, and this is the finish line. You can see we worked this up with some tripwire here, that then triggers all sorts of fireworks and fire charges just to make everything exciting, and hopefully you make it through and you don't get burned. And then we put a bunch of villagers and snow golems and iron golems and things in here to cheer you on once you actually made it through. But it looks like some of those have escaped, and so we would probably restock them if we needed to for another recording. Now down here you can see we've actually redone this section of the Great Race several times. There's a bunch of lily pads, so you can try and parkour your way across this area, or now that swimming's a little bit easier, you could try and swim through that, or you could try and boat your way through it. We used to have boats here. I think Reid replaced them with pressure plates so that they could pretend they were surfing, but that didn't work so well. And actually, I'm showing you the back half of the Great Race, so let's actually go to the first part of the Great Race and show you how you run through that one. Up here is where we started the Great Race. Now this heart and button combo, so the idea here is you shoot arrows and you hit the button, and every time you hit a button, the arrow sticks in wood buttons for a little bit of time. And so once you get all of the lights on, you hit all 4 of the buttons, then you set off your fireworks for the platform you're on, set off the fireworks, and you get to go run down here and drop through the chute and move on to the next section. Now this didn't start as the starting point of the Great Race. This actually started as just a quick archery minigame called Shoot the Heart. And you would try and shoot from your platform here. You'd open up your chest, you'd pull out your bow and arrows. You would then go and say ready, set, go, and one person would be here trying to shoot the black heart, and one person would be over here trying to shoot the red heart. And whoever got their buttons on first would click the switch or the button to launch the fireworks and celebrate that they won the game. And that was just a pretty simple, quick, straightforward, fun game. But then we expanded upon it. So that was now the starting point of the Great Race. And the Great Race, once you run through and fall through this section, next part is, let's see if I can get out of this water. There we go. Okay, the next part is to run through the Cactus Maze, which looks really wacky in the Christmas texture pack. But, you know, you're running through the Cactus Maze, trying not to get hit by the cactus, and you know it slows you down when you do, and it gives you a little damage. And then you get here to this parkour lava pit. And you could take a little bit of time, grab a fire resistance potion that'll let you get onto and do the parkour, hopefully. And if you fall, you're okay. Oh no, I'm burning, but I've got the fire resistance, so I'm okay. And you can come back out here and try it again because the fire is not very deep, and you can just run back here and keep trying the parkour. Now, if you're as bad at parkour like I am, you tend to fall down a lot. And so we realized after our first run through here that, well, maybe we should give somebody a 3 tries, and if you didn't make it, then here's your shortcut. So 3 tries, and then you can use the ladder to get up to the next section. So here's our little parkour area. You run up the ladder if you already done your 3 tries, or you parkour your way over here, and now you're in the frost maze, or I believe it's just white iron or something like that, white marble maze. And it's kind of confusing because you can't really see to get your bearings when you're looking up. And there's a couple of chests hidden in here. One of them has a swiftness potion, and then the other one that you have to find in order to get out, hidden down here, has levers, or what we call the keys. So you have to go get your lever or your key and then find your way to the end. No, I got to the dead end. Find your way to the end and put your key right up here in order to get through the door. And once you get through the door, you're on this ledge, and you have to go jump your way up. And there's a little sliding block going back and forth, makes it a little tricky, but you have to jump your way onto the balance beam. And you can see the sliding block for the parkour makes it a little tricky, and it's just being triggered by the minecart going back and forth. And then once you get on the balance beam, you might still have your speed potion, or you might not. But if you do still have your speed potion, you can run all the way along the balance beam really fast, or just jump off and swim and try and run your way through on the ground and through the sand. It's kind of a little tricky to know whether the balance beam will be faster or the sand and swim version. But you run, follow the balance beam all the way down here. You can see we're passing a bunch of other stuff that are in different games or were experiments. But now you get to the tricky spot here in the Great Race. This is our slime catapult launcher. So this is, let me get a big overview here. Slime, which for some reason in the Christmas pack is pink, is bouncy, everyone knows. And if you connect it to a piston or a sticky piston, and you trigger that piston with pressure plates, which look like that, you can launch yourself. And of course, because slime sticks to everything, you want to surround it with a non-stick surface like obsidian. And you can use that to launch yourself into the next section, and hopefully you bounce high enough to get through. Oh, I didn't do it. Didn't bounce high enough to get through. So what you do is you get to run back out here, go back through the door, try it again. And if you don't get it through the bounce maze launcher system 3 times, so if you fail 3 times to get through, then we've got something here in the chest that now, of course, you can use your leaping potion. And the 4th time you go through, if you run into a barrier, you can just use a leaping potion to bounce over it. But once you do actually make it all the way across, it's pretty cool when you do. You get to land in or on this heart. Then you do a little glass parkour, a little glass balance beam here. Gotta run, run, run all the way to, of course I'm doing horribly here showing you, but you get to run all the way here to see if someone's ahead of you, whether you're going to try and do the lily pad parkour to get through, or you're going to swim or do some combination, or maybe use a boat. Sometimes we have boats in this one. Then as you make it to the end, then it's just a race to the end and make it through to the finish line under the big tower. And you go trip and whoo, everything happens, fire, fireworks, everything. And that is the Great Race. So that's a pretty cool game. And of course you can make that at home and makes different versions of it, but we learned a lot in building this. We learned like how far can you make parkour jumps that work or don't work, how do slime piston with trigger plates, pressure plates, how do you get those to work in a way that makes it challenging but still possible? When do you have to use half blocks versus or half slabs versus other slabs, full block slabs, etc.? And when do you need a leaping potion to jump over something or not? Now, above part of the Great Race, you might have seen it while we were in the Cactus Maze or in the lava parkour area, but above the Great Race, we have a game. I think we saw Stampy actually did something like this once. And this is what we call Sandy Fruit. And it says basically here that if you get a stick, you get to dig a block. If you get a torch, you get to put it under a sand tower. Yeah, the Sandy Fruit game. And if you get sand, you get to add the sand to the opponent's pile. And if you get a red torch, then you have to skip a turn. So you click the button here, find out what you got. And in this case, I got a stick. So you follow the rules, you get to use your stick to delete a sand block. And what we have here is 2 chests, one for the blue side, one for the red side, and here's your sandy fruit. You've got 1 piece of blue wool and 64 blocks of sand. And you've got this arena here that you get to hide your blue wool and pile sand all around it and all over it to try and hide it from the other person. And the person over here, your opponent, has a pink or red wool and then another stack of sand. And they get to put the sand here on top of their wool or their fruit, whatever you want to call it. And then when you're ready, you say, all right, who goes first? Maybe you click the button to see who goes first, and the person gets a stick gets to go first, maybe not. And the idea is whoever's turn it isn't should stand back here, because when the dropper drops stuff, if you're standing too close, you'll pick it up, and then you'll be like, well, did you pick it up? Did I pick it up? Gets a little confusing. So you stand back, you let your opponent hit the button, you see what they got, and then they get to dig away a sand block or use a torch at the bottom of a sand pile, because torches at the bottom of sand piles actually destroy the whole column, the whole tower of sand. So this is actually a pretty fun one. And you saw over there, there's a shovel. That's just to help clean it up when somebody has retrieved the fruit. Then they can clean it up and reset the game for the next round. And we used to play like best 2 out of 3, and that seems to be a good number of playthroughs in order to get a good round. Now this tower, we never actually got a game out of it, but I think it was intended to be some sort of a dropper or a race up and down, and that never quite finished. Let's see over here. Okay, so the hearts. As I mentioned before, this used to be our first game that we ever made called Shoot the Heart. And then we incorporated it with this ice runway into the Great Race, and this was the first part of the Great Race. But we then created yet another game for Valentine's Day because of all the hearts, where there were 5 points you could get, and one of the points was who could get all the hearts up top here. Who could first light up all the hearts, and they got a point. Whoever got their heart lit up and hit their fireworks, they got a point. And then from the chest, they would go pick up their elytra. And they would be the first one to try to fly through 3 more hearts on the way down to the landing pad down below. And you could land on either landing pad down below, and you could fly through any of the hearts you want. But it's basically set up so that you can usually make it through your first heart right off your launch pad. And then you really need to hit this middle heart by, sort of curving around, flying through the middle heart. And it's very hard to do a quick dive bomb to get this heart, so sometimes you fly around again and you go to the other side's heart so that you can get this bottom layer, this third bottom tier heart, and then try and land on the launch pad, which, as you see, has a glass heart on this side, and of course on the other side it's got a glass heart as well. I think it's just different colors. So if you land, you get a point. If you go through any of these hearts, you get a point. So total is 5 points. And we would play this, I think we were going for like best of 5. best of 5 games. So you get a point at the top heart, point second heart. If you got the middle one, then the bottom layer, and then the landing. So best score you could get for a round was 5, and that was pretty tough. We actually have a lot of games of us playing this, and some of them with other people, where I think we played this with Disney Nerd, who now is Always Aiden. So if you've seen Always Aiden, he is someone that we played this game with. All right, let's see. We were doing some experimental parkour things over here. Didn't quite get those working. Let's see what else we've got. Flying around the world. We have so many games. It's easy to get a little bit lost and confused. Oh, this is two of my favorites. 2 of my favorites right over here. All right, this first one. This was, I think, maybe our 3rd minigame that we ever made, or maybe our 2nd. This is called the Chocolate Milk Challenge. And then I think the 2nd time we played it, we called it the Hot Chocolate Challenge. Where you can see here, one of the things you're going to have to do is light your cup on fire. So this glass here, which again looks kind of weird in the Christmas texture pack, but this glass is supposed to remember, the glass is supposed to represent a big cup. And you can see in the bottom there's a hopper. Again, it looks a little weird in the texture pack. But the hopper will suck down whatever you throw in it into this chest. And in the chest, you're trying to get a certain number of cocoa beans, a certain amount of sugar, and a certain number of milk buckets. And when you've done that, then you climb, you push the button and say, I've won, I've won, I've won. And you, of course, launch fireworks, because who doesn't want to launch fireworks? So how you get the materials to come up here and then throw into your cup, you have to start out down here, where there's 2 different areas and 2 different, what is this? This is a very strange. Okay, so we've got a furnace and sort of a, I guess, crafting area there. So, crafting table and furnace, which doesn't look at all like a furnace. That's very strange. Must be on the wrong side. There we go. Okay, crafting table, furnace. And what you need to do is get sugar. So you have to run over to the place where the sugar cane is, which looks kind of like this in the Christmas texture pack. So you run over and get sugar cane. You have to go run over and get flint, so that you can have some flint to light the fires. You're going to have to get iron so you can make flint and steel. You also need iron to make a bucket. So we have hidden over here in these, this is a chocolate sauce actually, the idea here. And there's iron there, so you have to dig into it, and then inside there's iron ore. But to get the iron ore, of course, you need to get a stone pickaxe first. So you have to go knock down a tree, get some sticks. You have to go up here on the hill to go collect some stone. So once you've got your stone and your pickaxe, then you can go and get the ore you need to make the bucket and also to make your flint and steel. You get your bucket, you go over here, you get a cow, you get some milk, and then you're like, okay, I've got everything except cocoa beans, which you have to go run over here and go find some cocoa beans in the jungle. So you get your cocoa beans, your sugar, your milk, and then you can run up the tower and throw it in to your cup. Go light the fire along the bottom of the cup. Jump up there to go set the fireworks off, and boom, chocolate milk challenge complete. So that's one of my favorites. The hot cocoa challenge, or the chocolate milk challenge, we didn't have the fire. The hot cocoa, we did add the fire, which then meant, of course, we had to have the flint and steel. So we had a big pile of gravel over there to get flint from. That's one of my favorites. A lot of fun. Over here's another one of my favorites. Here's the idea, is we accidentally realized that Frostwalker boots are actually pretty cool if you're trying to chase someone who's wearing Frostwalker boots. So we made basically another hide and seek area, or a tag arena, if you will. And over here in the starting area chest, we have a bunch of Frostwalker boots. And I'm going to go put mine back, actually. So you have Frostwalker boots, and actually I'll go put it on. You can see what these do, because they're so cool. So cool. All right, so let me go put those on. And see if, yeah. So as you start walking on water, it freezes the water, which is really cool. And now if you run, sometimes you can outrun the frost, sometimes not. If you're jumping, oops, you can definitely outrun the frost, and then you have the ability to swim. So we figured, oh, this is so cool. Let's create a partially above water, partially underwater space with all of these blocks. So if you wanted to quickly freeze the water and maybe trap the person who's trying to tag you below water, you could jump up here, pop up here, and do it. And then make some obstacles, some stairways, some parkour craziness, some slime stuff. I particularly like this little water elevator that you can, you know, swim up the water elevator and then step on a block next to it to freeze it so no one can chase up after you, then run along the top there. Totally fun to play tag, or even freeze tag, so to speak, in this arena. And highly recommend, if you've never done something like this, go create a game like this. This is super, super fun. Yeah, in fact, if I really want to get that one over into the Bedrock world so that we can get it off Xbox and share that one, and probably a lot of these with people in the Minecraft marketplace. So we'll see if we can get that done. Now this one here, this we had, it was basically one of Reid's many desires to get me to get better at parkour, which I'm just horrible at. And you can tell if you ever watch our videos on parkour. I think they're pretty funny. This was our parkour practice, or our parkour peril, or something parkour-ish. Check out those videos, a lot of fun. But this was our tower. It was actually, we tried to build this, model this off of something we saw in a Minecraft book. Very cool Oriental tea garden tower. And then we created an elevator all the way up. And we actually created also these trapdoor staircases, which if you've never tried to climb up a trapdoor staircase, kind of tricky, but definitely doable. And then this elevator here, it's just a water column now, but there used to be in some of Minecraft Xbox, there used to be a way to make a really slick water elevator where it was just like only every other or every third block was water. So that unfortunately got broken during one of their updates, and that's not possible anymore. But this was the idea, is you create your spawn point in case you die, so there's beds up here, and then there's a parkour path that Reid made and a parkour path that I made. And you try and get to the end of the parkour that the other person made, which ends over here in this slime tower, and it ended with bed parkour. So the last thing you have to do is jump on the slime block, and when you do that, then you've won. And mine was on this side, not quite as tricky, I think, as Reid's, but we said there are certain elements you have to do. There's just generic jumping, then there's glass block parkour or glass pillars. And so I did glass pillars. I think Reid did some glass panes on his. And then it goes to bed parkour, and that's the last piece of it as you get down here. And you see we have torches every now and then. That's just to light it up, because sometimes we played and it got nighttime and it was a lot easier to see when we did that. So that's the parkour peril, or parkour practice, or Christmas parkour. I forgot how many times we played it. Super fun. Easy to make, of course. Hope that you guys do it too. This was kind of a fun, just, I don't know quite how to describe it, but we called this Escape King's Castle. And the idea here was, here's the king, which I don't know if you can see in here, but it's a bunny. So the bunny is the king, and this is his castle. And so the idea is you start on this platform, and you have to jump down and land in the water down there so you don't die. And then once you've landed down here, which is kind of tricky to do, But once you've landed down here, there's a couple of places you could go. You know, find a little secret, which I don't think we've restocked it since we played this, but a couple of secrets, and then you have to find your way to the exit. And the exit, mostly because we've played this enough times, is the exit is you have to either go up these water chutes, climb up the ladder. You see all these carts going back and forth. They basically open and close the piston doors on the way down, and you try and fall down into, and you can see there's bunnies up here just to cheer you on, but you have to fall down this center column and get all the way down here where you get to exit through the door, and it says, "Congratulations, you escaped the King's Castle." Now, sometimes you don't actually survive going down through that dropper area, so you have to kind of time it just right. Sometimes you get smacked on your way down, jumping from the first tower up here. You don't land in the water, so it's kind of a race to see who gets through first, and that is Escape the King's Castle. Now over here, this is actually kind of a fun thing that we never quite finished. Whoops, I'm not sure what that was. That was obviously a minecart experiment. But the idea over here was this was a question room area. And there would be a question on the wall, like, what is 5 plus 5? And you have to go and say, is it 55? Is it 2? Is it 10? Is it, what is the one over here? Is it 5? And if you, I don't know if this is working, we'll see. If you press the wrong button, then all of these are supposed to shoot fire charges at you or throw lava out here and burn you up. If you get the right one, then the door is supposed to open and let you through into the next question room. And that's basically how this one worked. And we were going to create a series of these question rooms, and you had to make it through. And then we would just change the questions from time to time. Just never quite finished that one. But that's something you might want to do yourself. I think that this would be easier not in Xbox. I think this would be easier with some command blocks, actually. Instead of creating all the redstone for the 3 negative answers to trigger all those, it might be easier to just set it up with command blocks and reprogram them every time you decide to change questions. Now, this one here, this one is a fun one. Highly recommend people do this. Make this type of a game. This is a little area. There's one that's obsidian. There's one that's all brick. And this is where we had our Easter egg hunt. First time we did it, we had an Easter egg hunt. I think then we had maybe a present hunt in Christmas time. We may have done 2 or 3 other hunts, but you can go check those out in the minigame playlist. And the idea here is you just have a bunch of chests all over your area and obstacles, like how the heck do we get in to check those chests? Because you can't just jump on the slime and bounce up. You actually have to fall from the roof of this building onto the slime and then bounce backwards into it. So how do you get on the roof of the building? Well, you do a little parkour on those ladders, etc., etc. So there are chests scattered all over the playing area. And doesn't mean that each chest has a egg, or in this case has a present. And so we used colored wool or spawn eggs, I think, for the Easter egg hunt. And you hide 10 eggs, and when you find them, you go throw it up on the wall and say, look, I found 3 of the eggs so far. And each of these areas is tricky, and this is the side that Reid made. So it's got this obsidian water maze that you can get into and try and run through. And I think there's even slime along the bottom, so it makes it even harder. Oh, do I have Frostwalker boots on still? That must be the problem. I couldn't get in there. Yeah, I think that was maybe the issue. Anyways. There we go. And there's slime there, so you're trying to figure out, well, where's the chest? Where's the chest? And then maybe you come out here and you think you're done. And you jump out, but you may have missed the chest down there. So really tricky stuff. I think he hid some over here where he had to bounce around and bounce down. He's got some up here inside the tree. You climb up the tree. And then he's got some inside there along with on top of the tree, which means you have to do some parkour. And I think he's got it that if you use a leaping potion from over here, you can jump over and get back. I don't remember. Just really tricky parkour stuff. And then, of course, he's got some up here with slime blocks and then a chest at the very end, which maybe it's got something, maybe it doesn't. And then this was a favorite of mine, hiding the chest behind the tree. Love that. I always missed that one. And then there was even an underground space. I don't think I can get into it from here, but there's a secret entrance to an underground space where he had a little brick maze. You might be able to see that in the distance here if I walk over on this side. Yeah, a brick maze that was hiding a couple of chests as well. So that was Reid's side, and then on my side we had something similar, but I had, you know, a minecart that was very tricky to reach in and grab. You can only do it through one window or from around the edge here, and try and see if you can click it at the right time to see if you could open that one. And while you're crazy doing that, you may have forgotten or not seen there is a chest right over there that maybe you can sneak over and grab. And then we've got some rooms and some doors, and you say, oh, here's the chest, let me look at that. And then of course you're missing the one right above you. So that was a little bit of a trick. There's a chest up in the ceiling of that room, so if you happen to walk through the doors, you're like, oh, I'll check this out, but maybe you forgot the one that was in the ceiling again. All sorts of fun stuff there, good ways to mask and hide chests. Maybe there's some on top of the cactus. I made a little parkour area where you can reach that one, but you have to be on the right block to do it. Then over here, there's a couple of doors, some chests hidden inside and outside of that little area. And then an underground space here, which is a little bit of a maze. Just figure out how to get in and out of this. Oh, I found a ladder, but there's a chest right there. Maybe there's an egg in it, maybe not. And how do I get inside this area is one of the questions to figure out. Like, you have to go through the maze to get even into this area. So that's a fun one. Really fun one. Really fun game. Suggest you make it if you're looking for ideas. That is awesome. Then we have another Easter one. Now this one was a little bit ambitious, and it's still kind of fun. All right, the first one is you start in your bunny area. And we used to have like a whole bunch of bunnies just around here to make it very Easter bunny-ish. Yeah, you can still see some of them still hopping around, right? And you have to go find a couple of Easter eggs. Once you do, then you put the Easter eggs in the 4 frames. And those 4 frames allow you, or let you now, once you've got all 4 eggs found, then you click the button and you go into the next place. And the next place is a glass maze where it gives you a carrot from this dispenser when you walk through the door. And the idea is you're supposed to use the carrot to try and get one of the bunnies underneath you to follow you over to the pressure plate, which again, this is a glass maze, so it's a little tricky to figure out, well, where the heck is the pressure plate? And then how do I get the bunny below me, which has a different maze than the glass up above? How do I get the bunny below me to follow me to get him over to the pressure plate down there? I need him to hit the pressure plate in order to open this door for me to get onto the next phase. And that's really actually pretty cool. If you've never done a glass maze with a pig below or a bunny below, and you have them follow you around, definitely recommend that. And so you get through the door, and then you go into the final part, which doesn't have separate areas. It's one big glass and slime maze. And we've got, I believe, a speed potion here. Yep. So you can stop for a sec, grab a speed potion, walk through the slime, hopefully a little faster. There's a lot of dead ends, kind of confusing spots here. How do I get through? I don't know. And then you can finally make it out here. Now this area, you have to, this is again sort of like in the Great Race where you we use these launchers to bump you up. You launch yourself up and then you hit the button on these 4 different buttons. So there's one there, one there, one down here, one down here. And it's a little hard to hit them while you're flying. But when you do, they trigger dispensers that drop different colored wool blocks down, or different colored eggs depending on what you put in the dispensers. And once you've got all 4 colors of wool blocks, then you jump yourself through the exit hole right there. You come out here, you throw all 4 blocks down, and you guessed it, you flip the switch which says, hey, I won. Where's the fireworks? There's fireworks somewhere. So that's how you get to the end of this one, and then there's the nice colors from the beacons at the end. So that's a really fun one too. If you haven't made a game like this before, definitely suggest you do. Battle Cats, how you doing? Sorry, I've got a separate screen up here, but it's good to see you. Hope you're enjoying the stream so far. This is, again, just my first stream testing out stream software and showing people a bunch of the mini games that we made inside of an Xbox One world a long time ago, and some of the experiments that we made as well. So let's see, I've done that one. I believe there's maybe 1 or 2 more. Let's see if I can find them. Yes, oh my gosh, this was a behemoth. Took quite a while to make. I don't know if you can see how long this game goes on, but this is a 2-person versus 2-person relay race. And you can't get through it without help from your other teammate. So this is really, really tricky and fun, I think. Really cool design stuff. We made this game for our Season 1 minigame build contest that we ran. And this was our example game to give an idea for people how that they could make a game that conformed with all the rules and would be something that would be fun to play with us if you became a finalist, and then if you became a winner, to play it with one of our celebrity YouTuber judges. And that contest closed last year. The winner was Marky Stein, and we played his Waddles Cell game with Sally Green Gamer. And it was judged by, let's see, OMG Chad voted on which of the finalists he thought should win. Sally Green Gamer, of course. We also had your MC Admin and Wizard Keen. Those were the judges that we had that voted from the finalists. And this was our example game. I'm not going to walk through all of it because there's a video of us playing it and building it and coming up with brainstorm ideas for it. So if you look at the minigame playlist, that's where you will find this game and some of the cool stuff that we've done here, where you have to trigger one thing for the other person, you have to open a door for the other person so they can get some materials, so they can give the materials to you, so that you can craft something to open the next door. And then there's like mazes and some more cool stuff. Anyways, you get to the very, 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 very end, and both teammates from the pink team have to land on these pressure plates, or if you're on the blue team, you have to both stand on these pressure plates, get both blue blocks to go up, and then that team is the winner. And what was this? Oh, I think Reid was just trying to build, he was like, hey, let's build a little Tetris fun thing back here. And so we're experimenting with building Tetris. Yeah, so gosh, that's our 2 versus 2 co-op race. What other games do we have here? I know we've got probably a couple more. Maybe tricky to find them. I know we have some in another world. But let's just see. If I do a quick fly around, maybe I'll find something else. Not seeing anything just yet. And again, I am in the Christmas texture pack, so everything looks a little bit wonky. A little bit whacked out. That might be it for now. Let's see what else we can see. Oh, I know there was some other stuff. Christmas cannons we did. Where's Christmas cannons? It shouldn't be too far away. It's near water. See if I can find it. It's one of the tricky things when you're looking for a space to build a game. Sometimes you build it a little further away than you intended to, and it's hard to find again. Oh, here's something we started building. We actually converted this over to the Bedrock, Xbox One Bedrock. But this is the beginning of an underwater race using the aquatic update and the some of the new things like Riptide enchantment. And this is a 1 versus 1 race. You can't see it yet, but there's some underwater elements, there's some above water elements, some Riptide things you need to do in that one. And that's under construction actually in our Bedrock version of this world. Let's see if I can find the 1 or 2 more things that I know should be here. What was this? Oh, this! Find the button. Alright, so Reid and I both made find the button areas. His is in this cobblestone, though I know it looks a little weird with the in the Christmas holiday texture pack. It's a little bit weird, but there's a find button, and the final button is, of course, at the end of this gnarly parkour area, which in and of itself was a video of just trying to get up to the top of this. And then my find the button is the area over here where there's 5 buttons you have to find in order to get through to the very end, and whoever gets back to the end and jumps on their bed, or maybe it was there might have been a firework involved as well, whoever gets the final one and gets back to their bed wins. And so you might want to check that one out. That's our find the button race, and I think we did 3 versions of that. There's a speed run. We did a speed run on mine to see who could get through it the fastest. We also then did just a find the button for the original run through, and then we did several attempts at going through this parkour. I think it was called Parkour Peril or something like that. That is a super fun video to watch, so check that out. I think that's in our minigame playlist as well. Let's see what else. I know there's a couple more games here. Forget what this one was that we were looking at. I think this was Reid trying to make his birthday house for the birthday games, but I don't think that got finished. At least not in this world, in this version of the land that I'm touring through right now. There was another parkour area we're trying to make, and let's see. I don't know if I'll be able to find the Christmas cannons area or not. It might be that this is the end. Maybe. Oh, here it is. Okay. So it was just on the back side of our parkour area, the King's Castle, etc. So this is a launcher, a TNT launcher. So if you're in here and you press the button, if it's all full of TNT, I think I have it on peaceful mode, so it's not working right now. Let's see if I could change that real quick. Options, settings, game options. All right, you can tell I have not worked in this for a while. Maybe it's inside the other menu. Host options, yeah. All right, let's go up here. Maybe I need to make it to easy. Is there a TNT explodes? Oh, that's the other thing we need to turn on. I think I can be peaceful, but we need TNT to explode. So you hit that, all the TNT falls into the water area, goes kaboom, launches you in the air, and then you try and, oh, what did I land in? I landed between the blue and the red. So landing between the blue and the red gets you 2 points. Landing between the yellow and the green gets you 3 points. Landing between the red and the launcher gets you 1 point. And if you get super far away, you get 5 points. And there's some tricks for when you create your cannon and where you stand in it will launch you higher or off to the side, so you can get different score. And that, I think, yeah, that was our last game that we built in that mini world. Again, my faves, the Frostwalker boot tag, freeze tag game. It's parkour video. I absolutely love our parkour videos because I think they're so funny, mostly because I'm so bad. King's Castle, I think we've got one of those. We have a whole bunch of this, you know, Easter egg hunt or present hunt over here. We've got one of the Easter Bonanza. I think we called it Easter Bunny Bonanza for that section. Of course, there's the 2v2 co-op race that I was showing a little earlier. There's the Great Race, which we played several times with several different people. There's the one that we started with, which is the Pyramid Freeze Tag area. Over here is the Great Race, the Valentine's Elytra Hearts, the Shoot the Heart game, and all that. Yeah, wow. We've done a lot in this world. Lots and lots of stuff. Some of the pumpkin hunt areas. I think I showed those earlier. And let's end where we began, which is over here. There's our birthday party house, a couple of party games there. And we'll come back over here to the King of the Hill Pyramid / Temple for Tag. And there you have it. That's my first stream. Trying to thanks for one person stopping by. It was awesome. And that's all of the mini games that we built in our Xbox One world. And some of them still work in Bedrock, and we're thinking of porting them over and redesigning them in Bedrock on PC, and maybe putting them on the Minecraft Marketplace. So let us know if there are any that you thought particularly sounded cool, interesting, wonderful, that you'd want to play. And definitely check out some of our playthroughs of them so you can get a sense of them. And we'll certainly love to see you in our other videos. Take care. Have a good day. Goodbye.